Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course from New Earth One Network. This is designed exclusively for your higher self connection and embodiment. Welcome, everybody. We are going quantum in this episode today with Tom Paladino. He is a leading researcher of scalar energy, and he's here to share the beautiful benefits of these treatments that he offers. Welcome, Tom. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure once again, Lauren. Thanks for your effort.
You know, I just love this topic, and some may be new to it. We're talking about scalar energy. Scalar energy, for those who don't know, I mean, this is something that we can breathe through our voice. Scalar energy is something we can bring through our hands, but you've taken it to another level. This is something where you're healing people with their photographs and you're harnessing scalar energy. Tell us first what scalar energy is.
Thank you once again for the invite. Scalar energy, I work with scalar energy. It's sunlight or starlight. It's consciousness. It's the energy that pervades the universe. And I have scalar energy instruments that control that dimension, scalar energy. So when I mention a scalar energy instrument, it's the instrument that can actually control this life force energy. It's not electrical. This is not an electrical instrument. And in so doing, once I can control scalar energy, I have access to that dimension. So what am I getting at? There's two dimensions. The world that we live in, the dimension that we recognize is the electromagnetic dimension. That's very real. There is another dimension, a scalar energy dimension. And some people might call that the psychic dimension or the non-physical dimension or the quantum dimension. And that's what we're going to explore today, this other dimension. And we can access that other dimension if we have a scalar energy instrument. And that's what I have, the ability to access another dimension by way of this instrument.
Accessing another dimension. Is this for healing, manifestation?
Everything. Why? Because scalar energy serves as the instructions of the universe, of the mind of God. So yes, it's consciousness. Yes, it's for healing. It's for enlightenment. It's for encouragement. It's the life force energy. So there's nothing that cannot be achieved with this life force energy. It really is the mind of God. I believe scalar energy is divine energy. And once we access that divine dimension, we can accomplish so much. It's a dimension of ease. It's a dimension of tranquility. In other words, what we can accomplish is so easy in the scalar energy dimension as opposed to the electromagnetic dimension that is really laborious and very difficult to effectuate. So once we enter into this scalar energy dimension, the results therefrom are just extraordinary vis-a-vis that of what would take so much time and effort in the electromagnetic dimension.
How does this affect one's health as you do this?
When I enter into this scalar energy dimension, I realize that we can control, access the seven chakras, our brain waves and our seven chakras. So my instrument will give us, if you will, this pathway into our seven chakras. And in so doing, with the scalar energy instrument, I can download beneficial life force energy into the seven chakras, correct the chakras, improve this spin, or this, if you will, this double helix formation of our chakras. And that speaks to the point that our chakras are composed of scalar energy. And the best way, the most efficacious way to access those seven chakras is with a chakra machine or a scalar energy instrument. And that's what I have. So my instrument will access the seven chakras and will indeed accordingly balance the chakras, balance the brain waves. And the upshot of that, Lauren, is that people feel better, is that they have a psychological uplift. People feel a sense of tranquility, a sense of composure. I've had many people say that the chakra balancing has served to correct addiction or correct depression. Now, all of those are true and accurate. And if that's the case, I believe scalar energy is going to be the doorway to mental health in the future, to psychological health, not through drugs necessarily, but through this energy portal, if you will. That scalar energy is going to be the pathway, the portal to sound mental health. Now, consider what I'm saying. If we can do that by way of this energy, scalar energy that is corrective, that's going to be the easy, effective method to improve our mental outlook, to address mental illness.
And we know right now that mental illness is on the high regard for the need of the hour out there. So very interesting, the correction and the balancing of the brainwaves from the scalar energy. Can you describe the machine that you use for this process and this technique?
Sure, sure. These are custom built instruments that I've built, and I've had engineers work with me. And what's peculiar about these instruments, they produce a standing wave of scalar energy, which is really a double helix. If you were to look at the character of a scalar wave, it's a double helix. It looks like DNA. And frankly, it's a scalar wave, which is a double helix, that creates our DNA, which is a double helix. So my instruments are scalar wave instruments, and they produce this double wave, this double helix, if you will, of scalar energy. And that vortical action, that scalar wave action, serves to download into our seven chakras and correct our chakras, which are likewise spinning vortices. So this is the nature of scalar energy. It's not a sinusoidal wave, it's a double helix. And once I enter into that dimension, I'm able to access not only our brain waves, our chakra waves, but also our DNA. I believe that once we quite understand that it is scalar energy that is the sustaining fundament of DNA, we will realize that scalar energy is responsible for all DNA, for that scalar energy is the life force behind the life molecule.
So you just said a big thing there, that the scalar energy is the sustaining fundament of DNA.
Yes. Yes.
So if people want to activate their DNA, scalar energy treatments would be doing that, yes?
I believe so. Yes. Yes. If you ever looked at DNA, you have to say there's beautiful symmetry to it. You know, there are two. It's a double helix, and each arm of that helix, each helix has this certain proportion and ratio. Well, I've discovered that a scalar wave is the same ratio as that of our DNA. So it's always occurred to me that scalar energy is the standing wave. Scalar energy is the sustaining wave of our DNA. Now, if that's the case, then we are standing waves of scalar energy. That is, scalar energy builds, creates, and maintains our DNA. So we are built, we are composed, so to speak, of scalar energy instructions. So what does that mean? All life forms, all genomic forms receive their instructions from scalar energy. So it starts with non-physical instructions, scalar energy, and the result is DNA, which is our blueprint for life, which is the end product of DNA instructions.
It is the universe. You said it is divine
Yes.
energy. It is love, right? It
Yes.
is,
Yes.
um, so you're
Perfect
cons
harmony. Yes. It is the love energy. It's the love energy that is perfect coherence, and it can do only good. And this is the way that God created the universe of love that can do only good. So if you really want to live in a perfect state, you're going to live in a scalar energy state. I've always said that heaven is nothing but scalar energy. You won't find any electricity in heaven. Scalar energy is perfect coherence, perfect love, perfect harmony. Whereas electromagnetic dimension is a dimension of confusion, entropy, of decay and death. And a scalar energy environment is perfect harmony, perfect instructions. It is a perpetual state of bliss. So, what does that mean to us? That means eventually, once we get away from electromagnetic energy and the electromagnetic consequences, and we move over to this new paradigm, a scalar energy paradigm, we're going to enjoy that perfect environment. Scalar energy is that perfect environment. As I've said so many times, if there's a heaven, and I say there is, it's perfect scalar energy. There's no electricity in heaven.
Yes, that is really cool. The chaotic energy of the electromagnetic field versus the scalar, which is the harmony and the bliss. So, how do you use this to assist people? They can send you their photographs. We can show some images here
Sure.
of what your machine is, but tell us how people work with this life force and how you work with it for them.
Sure. Everything I do is by way of a photograph, meaning there's no in-person sessions. Again, this is not Western physics. This is not Western medicine. That's one of the instruments that I use. Those are scalar energy instruments, custom-built instruments. And at the very top is a receptacle in which I would place photographs. People would email me photographs, and I actually would place those photographs inside these instruments. And these instruments then would serve to connect with that person by way of their force field. Again, everything I do is by way of quantum energy, scalar energy, by way of photographs. So your photograph is your energetic signal or your energetic fingerprint. And in so doing, you don't have to visit me. These instruments will find you. They'll find your quantum field anywhere in the world, anywhere in the universe. And that's what we're doing with these instruments. We're able to pinpoint a person or an animal. So these are the early models of scalar energy instruments, and over the years, I'm sure we'll perfect this approach. But these are some of the earlier models in which we're able to access that dimension, that scalar energy dimension. That's the key. Once you access a scalar energy dimension, you're in a different physics altogether.
All right. Can you talk more about that scalar energy dimension? Is
Yeah.
it where miracles happen?
Yes, it is. It is because you're transcending time and space, and you're no longer bound to the parameters of time and space. So you're outside of time and space. And in so doing, time and space are no longer an impediment. Once you move outside of time and space, you're no longer within that box. You're no longer parameterized by time and space. Now, what does that mean? Well, we only can be in one place at one time. But if you're in a scalar energy environment, you enjoy the entire universe in an instant because you can be everywhere in the universe simultaneously. So that's a difficult concept for some, but to abstract that, If you're in an electromagnetic environment, you could only be, say, in one geographical location. But within a scalar energy dimension, it's a holographic dimension, and you could be everywhere instantaneously at all times. So once you're in this paradigm, this holographic paradigm, you enjoy all of time, you enjoy all of space. And that really that leads to the notion that this probably is the matrix, or this probably is that life force energy that we've been waiting for, in which we're no longer bound to one specific geographical location. We're no longer in the present moment. Rather, we can be in all time frames. There is no past, present, or future. There's only the present moment in a scalar energy dimension. So we transcend time. We then become immortal. We cannot die. Time is no longer a factor. So consider what I'm saying. If we all were to live in a scalar energy environment, we would not be subject to time. We would not be subject to disease or death. We would all be immortal. That's where we're going with this. This is the immortal dimension. Again, this is the dimension of heaven where nobody dies. Why is it that people are immortal in heaven? They're no longer subject to time and space. If we were in a scalar energy environment, we would not be subject to time and space. We all would be immortal. We all would be in a state of bliss. Death and disease would be nullified. It's a different way of living.
Fascinating. All right, here's another photo of your instrument. Tell us about this.
Sure. What you're looking at on the left-hand side is a capacitor that's connected to a vacuum tube. Now, when I'm creating this double helix, this standing wave of scalar energy, it's really necessary that we recreate the universe. So you could say that the vacuum tube and the capacitor really serve the function of that of a star. So what you're looking at is a miniature star in which I can recreate, if you will, star-like behavior, star-like activity. And at the very end of the photo, at the right-hand side, you see 2 Tesla coils. Now that's broadcasting the energy of the star, the energy of the sun. So what we're looking at is a scalar energy instrument. These are star-like instruments. These instruments control energy, star energy, sun energy. And we're able to access that energy and then broadcast that anywhere in the world. And if I were to take a photograph and place it close to that instrument is in a scalar energy environment, and then the photograph would be introduced into that scalar energy environment. Now, when you introduce a photograph into that environment, then the photograph enjoys scalar energy, and it's no longer in an electromagnetic environment. So what we're seeing is a miniature star that produces star-like energy, scalar energy, produces this perfect dimension, scalar dimension. And when you place a photograph inside that instrument, then that photograph is likewise enjoying perfect energy. So the upshot is the photograph then experiences the benefits of being immersed in a scalar energy force field. And again, what are some of the benefits of being immersed in a scalar energy force field? Well, you enjoy perfect coherence. You enjoy perfect communication for your 7 chakras. You also enjoy an environment in which we can eradicate, break apart viruses, bacteria, fungi found on your photograph. So your photograph carries your real-time constitution. And if I place your photograph inside that instrument can pinpoint on your photograph the viruses, the bacteria, the parasites that are infecting you. And in so doing, this instrument is calibrated to break down, to eradicate viruses, bacteria, parasites. So, by way of your photograph, we perform what is known as a pathogenic lens. We're able to break down the molecular bonds of germs, of microbes. And we do all of that by way of your photograph. This is the healing of the future. I never work with people. I work with their photograph. Their photograph captures their signature. So again, it's a new science. This is a new science that requires a new understanding of reality. And we're finally getting and making headway in this world, gaining acceptance to this new reality, this new paradigm, scalar energy.
Well, congratulations for doing this research and bringing it forward on our planet. Do you feel that in the decades that you've been doing this, that now people are more open
Very
to
much,
this type of technology?
very much, Lauren. I've been at this now for 40 years, and people finally get it. And I give a lot of credence to those people like yourself who've been at it for years. This is an educational process. This does not happen overnight. And when you're going to introduce these new scientific principles, this new way of living, or this new paradigm, this new model, it takes time and effort. And I know you've made great strides in your life, Lauren, doing what you're doing by educating people, by serving as, if you will, as the role of an educator, of a role model, and asking people to at least consider another way of living, behaving, to consider another way of working with the universe. Scalar energy is not only a different energy than that of electricity, it's a new way of living. I can't emphasize that enough. This new technology is going to change everything for us. This is free energy. It offers us unlimited energy. So, what is one of the new ways of living going to be? Well, relatively inexpensive, clean energy. You don't need coal, oil, or gas or nuclear power. This is the free energy of the stars. So there's so many applications of this energy. It's mind-boggling. It's just a matter of time before people say, yes, I want this. Yes, this makes a lot of sense. Let's move forward. Let's embrace this new technology.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Star
Mhm.
energy,
Yes.
sun energy.
The way God described this to me, that the sun and the stars are the storehouses of his energy. And that's, I think, quite appropriate. If you look at the universe, it's flooded with stars, and those stars are the points of origin of light, of energy. So, what are the stars? It's the powerhouse of the universe. It's the intelligence of the universe. You have to have a starting point. So, it's the stars that broadcast this life energy. And hence, we are all immersed in that life energy. And what I'm trying to do is to educate people to opt for that life energy, scalar energy, as opposed to electricity and magnetism. There's a choice here. And as these new inventions unfold, people will see the merit of replacing electromagnetic equipment, electromagnetic technology with scalar technology. And that day is coming, and it's accelerating. And it's accelerating. Someday you'll say that electricity is passe, it's outdated, and it will someday be passe.
Yes, just because it's not helpful for the human body.
Yeah.
So and it's interesting, we're walking around with 5G and all of this. So the question would be, if we immerse ourselves in scalar energy like this, in focused life energy, life force energy like this, then we would be in coherence and balanced in the chakras, and our brain waves would be altered. So
Yes.
then, would you say that as we evolve on this planet, we would demand technologies like this instead of the harmful electromagnetic energies.
Yes, yes. And that's where we're going with it. And what is the impediment for scalar energy research right now? It's just a lack of knowledge. Once people realize what this can do vis-a-vis electromagnetic energy, they're going to opt for scalar energy. So, the existing power grid, let's face it, there is a power grid and it's predicated upon the electromagnetic spectrum. But as we show people there's a better way, there's an alternative energy that is far superior to oil, nuclear, gas, etc., people will make the change. They'll make the change. You just have to educate them. People are smart.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for educating people for so many years. What are some of the results that you found and feedback from some of those folks?
Um, Many times when I'm working with people, people will say that they finally can experience a meaningful sleep, that their dream state enhances or they can sleep. They're no longer imperiled by insomnia. Why? Because we can balance the chakras, we can balance the brain waves, and people finally can get a meaningful night of sleep. Others tell me that they were suffering from some type of pathogenic infection, herpes, HIV, tuberculosis, and after the sessions, they report an absence of the herpes virus. Now, that cannot be explained by electricity and magnetism because we're not using electricity and magnetism. And the only way we can describe that, or at least offer an explanation, is say that scalar energy has the ability to break down the quantum state, the molecular state of a virus. And that's my comment. So it's a tool for healing. But we have to keep in mind, this is not a tool of electricity. It's a tool that can only be accessed by a scalar energy instrument. And the interface is your photograph, because your photograph carries your signal. There's no such thing as an in-person scalar energy session. That's not necessary because I access your force field by way of your photograph. That's the key to my research, the ability to access your photograph.
That right there is quantum in itself because, as you mentioned, so if when people register with your services, they would need the most current photo, right?
Not necessarily, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Your photographs is your signature for life. And just like your fingerprint stays with you for life. So your photographic fingerprint stays with you for life. So it doesn't matter what the age of your photograph is. Your photograph always reports your real-time constitution. So a photograph reports your spiritual, your mental, your emotional, your physical constitution at that present moment in time. Now, keep in mind that scalar energy, there's no past, there's no future. In a scalar energy paradigm, there's only present. So your photograph will always report the present moment. And this is just so fascinating. When you consider what's being said here and how I've proven this, this really opens up a new way of living, a new way of dealing with reality. We've developed our 3 sessions every day. So every day we balance the chakras. We will break down, we will eradicate microbes, germs, viruses, bacteria. And the third modality, we have the ability to create, to assemble vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. Now, those 3 modalities are administered on a daily basis by way of your photograph. Again, the chakra balancing, the microbe cleanse, the germ cleanse, and the ability to create micronutrients. All of this is done, all of this is afforded by way of these star instruments, these scalar energy instruments. And the axis, if you will, the way we connect is by way of your photograph. So I know this is different. This is a unique approach. It's unique because I have a instrument in which I can control that dimension. And this is the valid approach to scalar energy by way of this technology. What I'm saying has been proven to be accurate, true over the years. And this is the, if you will, the means that we can gain access to that force field through a scalar energy instrument. And we do so by immersing your photograph, placing your photograph within that force field. Once your photograph is in a scalar energy force field, then you are within that reach. You are then operating, you are then in a scalar energy paradigm. Now, I've worked with myself many times, and if I perform a very powerful chakra balancing that very night, I will sleep very soundly. Sometimes I can sleep 5, 6, 7 hours without interruption if it's a strong chakra balancing. Now, keep in mind, even though I have the instrument, I simply just turn the instrument on and I place my photograph. This is my photograph. I place my photograph inside the instrument, and then I walk away. And the instrument is bathing, the instrument is flooding this photograph with scalar energy. And the result is I sleep a very meaningful, a very deep sleep that night. All of that begs the question, how? Well, my brain waves were balanced and properly calibrated. My 7 chakras are now in alignment. And hence I can sleep with a sense of peace and tranquility. That's the marvel of scalar energy.
Absolutely quantum. And science will catch up with this
Yes.
more and more. You've created a technology that attunes us to the star energy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We are
Broadcast.
in coherence. We are at one. When you have unity, there's no division. When you have unity, you have perfection. And that's what we are. We now have unity with the universe. We're now united with God. It's perfection.
Well, let's talk of ways with how people can work with you. Again, on this webpage, there are options. And this is beautiful for someone to do it once a month for themselves, for a couple members of their family or their friends, or even their pets. So we invite our viewers and listeners to look down on this webpage and see those various options. But Tom, why don't you tell us more about how that works?
Oh, okay. Well, again, we have the standardized session, and all you have to do is again visit your web page, and you will upload your photograph. Okay, you'll make a selection, and the standardized session is a 30-day session in which we will balance your chakras. We have the ability to identify over 400 species of germs, microbes, and eradicate those 400 species of germs, microbes. And then finally, scalar energy can assemble nutrients, over 250 micronutrients. Now, how is that possible? Well, how do you assemble a micronutrient? You don't create matter out of nothing, so to speak. Only God can do that. I simply take the existing elements in the body and rearrange those into vitamins or phytochemicals. So there's conservation of energy, there's conservation of motion here. Sending instructions into your photograph, I can tell that photograph to create a nutrient, vitamin A, if you will, the B complex vitamins. All of that is done by way of instruction, scalar energy instruction. Some people might call that transmutation, in which you change elements into micronutrients. Everybody has carbon, oxygen, nitrogen in your body, and I'm simply telling the elements to rearrange themselves into micronutrients, into amino acids, fatty acids, etc.
Yes. All right. That is really cool. Are there any side effects? For example, do people ever feel the cleanse from the germs or parasites?
No, and I'll tell you why. Scalar energy is non-physical. You only can have a side effect in the physical realm if you're working with physical reality. We work with instructions, so there's no physical drawback. There's no physical side effect because we're working with scalar light, which is non-physical or non-chemical. So many times you'll say people will have some type of physical manifestation or chemical manifestation, chemical reaction. We don't work with chemicals. It's impossible to have a chemical reaction.
This is Tesla, Nikola Tesla's work. Do you want to expand a little bit about how that was the foundation of your work?
This was, yeah. Tesla was the first man, in my estimation, to create, harness scalar energy. Brilliant mind. And he was the pioneer behind this. And in many ways, I've copied him. Again, just an incredible scientist. And what he discovered was that there's a better energy than that of electromagnetic energy. Tesla is known as a founding father of AC electricity, and that's true. And to his credit, he developed many alternating current motors and inventions. But later in his life, he discovered scalar energy. And the latter part of Tesla's life, he devoted almost entirely to scalar energy. He saw that it was a better energy, a more promising energy, a more promising technology. But the world has never embraced the second part of his career. Right now, we are enjoying the early part of his career, in which he gave us AC electricity. And that power grid now is built in large part by AC electricity. In the future, we'll realize that he had two careers and that he also introduced scalar energy, but he's just not known as being the founding father of scalar energy. He is rightfully the founding father of scalar energy.
As we can move this into a free energy situation, do you ever see it being used to light homes? Like,
Yes.
how would you do a scalar light bulb? That seems very
Yes.
healing.
Yes, you're right. um, let's put it this way. If I can deliver scalar energy to anybody in the world by way of their photograph, so my instrument is already acting like a broadcast unit, sending energy everywhere in the world. Eventually, that energy will be strong enough not only to send energy to people and animals around the world, it will be strong enough to illuminate a home. And it's just a matter of time. So if you will, I have a miniature star that's sending energy and illuminating people and animals around the world with a what I would say a measured amount of scalar energy. Now it's just a matter of magnifying that field, magnifying that signal, where I can send energy to amplify, if you will, or illuminate any type of home or factory around the world. So at least in a minor setting, I've already accomplished that. I have a universal satellite. Scalar energy serves as a universal power system. And I am empowering people and animals by way of their photograph. Eventually, I'll be able to power factories and homes as I magnify this signal.
The services that you offer, 48 sessions for 30 days. That's a great service. That's on this webpage. You guys check that out, get registered. Once you sign up, you'll turn in your photograph and you'll be in the system and you'll
Mhm.
immediately, like the very next day, right? The very
Yes,
next day, someone is in your system.
yes.
Now, as you're talking about, this energy being able to light homes, there's a book, the Cave of the Ancients, and this is where they saw it was being illuminated by something. This light is coming from somewhere, but it's not a light bulb. Would you be saying that this is scalar energy lights?
It could very well be. It could very well be. Keep in mind, Tesla, in practice, not theory, in practice, was able to send energy and illuminate light bulbs at a distance without any wire connecting it. So there is a way to transmit this energy without wires and to deliver energy without wires to what illuminate. That's one of my goals in life, to be able to duplicate Tesla's work and to send energy around the world and illuminate objects. Once we do that, Lauren, it's the end of the energy crisis. It's all over.
Do you think that's going to be easily accepted by the corporations that are in charge?
No,
Yeah.
no,
So
no. This
how do
this is a game changer. And let me be very blunt.
Yeah.
I'm one man, I'm one researcher. Look what I can accomplish as one person. It's not me, it's the energy. I can do the work of a million people. Let me repeat that. Because I have this instrument, because I have this technology, one person, one operator, me, can do the work of a million people. This is going to make work obsolete, Lauren. This scalar energy will perform the work we need. Scalar energy is the tool. It's our servant. Scalar energy will make the 40-hour work week obsolete. We will never have to work 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week again.
How would that happen?
Because we can avoid so many problems. We can avoid problems, we can avoid issues, we can solve issues. And instead of having to work and labor to produce those favorable results, this instrument, these scalar energy instruments, will perform the work for us. I'm going to give you, for instance, with my instrument, and I mean this quite literally, I could easily work with 1 million photographs a day and send healing energy to 1 million people a day. So in a day, I could eradicate viruses and bacteria in 1 million people in a day, in one day. Well, that's one person, one operator working with 1 million people a day by way of their photographs. I can work with group photographs on any given day. I can easily work with 50, 100,000 photographs at any particular time. So what's my point?
Yeah.
One person, in this case, me, the operator, one operator, can perform a healing for 1 million people.
Yes.
So I call that the multiplier effect. That's quite a multiplier effect. One operator, me, one person can perform a healing for 1 million people. That's quite a multiplier.
Yes. Quite a multiplier with your miniature star machine.
Yes.
Yes, and so thank you for all of this hard dedication and the work and your service and the balance of humanity. This is God given energy. This is God energy, divine energy, here to assist us in our own physicality. So, what was it that got you into this? How did you discover this in your life?
God led me to this. This is God's bounty. This is God's work. And I really believe you have to be of that spirit and of that intention, that rightful intention to receive God's blessing to do this. This is no small measure. This is going to change the world, this technology. So I believe I've been blessed by God, and that blessing continues. And as long as I keep within that holy approach, that dedicated approach, I think God will continue to bless me.
Yes, you are really in service and helping many people do it as well. So thank you, Tom Paladino,
Thank you, Lord.
for your incredible work with Scalar Energy. You are a leading pioneer in it.
I'm going to encourage people to pray, to think positive thoughts, to be of good cheer, because every time you pray or you think a positive thought, that really is a scalar wave. Now, I might have scientific instruments, but everybody has a mind and a heart. And the human mind and the human heart are scalar vessels. So use your mind and use your heart appropriately, and you will create your own scalar paradise.
That is beautiful. A prayer is scalar energy, and your heart and your mind in unison, in coherence, is scalar energy. Very cool. Science will catch up with you, Tom Paladino.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.